What are you, deaf? Don't try that Halloween shit with me.
You are now listening to the voice of horror.
Lock your doors, bolt your windows, and turn off the lights. Make sure the kids are safe at home, cause you're headed to the Night Watch Zone.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the channel. Ready to rock on a Monday night, and yeah, we're gonna do some cool stuff. That's the game plan. Hope you guys are doing well. For you guys in the live chat, a blanket hello. Let's see what we got. And yeah, we're gonna be talking about a couple different things here. Super Tenor, what's up? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. We got Ben. What's going on, Ben? Good to see you. Always there, always supporting. Saying Terrifier 3 will unarguably be on another level. Okay. All right. We're starting this off quick because I wanted to throw that out to you guys and see what you thought as far as what might be happening with Terrifier 3. All right. Starting out quick, Ben. All right. What's up, Julie? Julie's in the chat. What's going on? Thank you so much for hanging out with us here, Julie. Much appreciated. Hope you're doing well. Mega Giants, what is up? Hope you're doing well. Film Kid in the chat. What's going on? Saying hi real quickly. Watched the original Halloween last night and absolutely loved it. And then I watched 2018 today. It was a solid legacy sequel. I absolutely agree with you there. Thank you so much for joining the chat. I don't know if I've seen you here recently, but welcome. Hope you enjoy the conversation. And I agree. I think 2018 definitely was worthy. You know, we just had our stream on Friday night. We were talking about films that are overrated. And part of the reason for doing that, well, it's kind of been a running theme we've been having for the live streams on Friday. But in my mind, talking about so many films and especially legacy films, legacy franchises. And I've heard, you know, for the folks that aren't big fans of 2018 or of 78, there are a lot of people that I know that aren't really big fans of 78. And sometimes will categorize it as being overrated. So, in my mind, that was something that we touched upon it a little bit on Friday night, but I wanted to touch upon it some more. Maybe we'll do a little bit tonight. But long story short, I think 2018 is very solid. I really do. And I think 78 is very solid. So, well said, Film Kid. Thank you so much for putting that out there. Julie says, Confession, I still need to see both Terrifiers. Well, Julie, this is going to be an interesting conversation for you. I think that let me start off by saying I think that there is a certain type of horror fan that can enjoy it. And then there are those that are horror fans that probably wouldn't. I mean, there's tons of gore. And one thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit for those who are fans or who are not fans of Terrifier is, its MO is very much about the practical effects and it's very gore heavy. Some people say it's gore for the sake of gore, which I can understand that. There's definitely an argument to be made for that. But if you are a bit squeamish, it's probably something that you don't want to be watching. That being said, for you guys that are in the chat, if you do have an opinion on that, I would definitely love to hear what you think. So in other words, Julie, you're definitely going to have to be prepared, when you go see it, when you watch it. We got Eric. What's up, bro? Good to see you, man. Stopping in for a bit. Haven't finished watching Terrifier 2. It's been months, but hey, it's got its audience. God bless them. Yeah, man. I mean, I think that this is the way I look at it. I think that it is a callback to, old school in a sense, especially 80s slashers to an extent. And it really has, in both movies have one sequence that is truly like, what? And it is what it is. It is what it is. Like you said, it has its audience. I personally enjoyed both of them. I do think there's flaws with both, but what I do appreciate about both films is that it's practical, that it's simplistic in its nature. And I was fine with that. I really was. No doubt at all. DJ, what's up? DJ's in the chat. Good to see you, DJ. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, right, Julie. I'm glad that Film Kid enjoyed Halloween as well. We'd be having a different conversation. I was like, why don't you enjoy it? And speaking of which, Film Kid saying 70 in the original Scream go down as my top 2 favorite horror movies. Haven't seen either of the Terrifier films since I am at a young age, probably not able to watch either of them. Yeah, I would say it's definitely too much for the younger audience. I truly believe that it's just too much. Both films have sequences that are just so over the top. It's almost like they were scenes that were kind of just showcasing practical effects and what you're able to do now versus back in the 80s, let's say. So yeah, steer clear of those. Steer clear. Film Kid saying I may be able to watch 2, but I'm pretty confident I won't be able to watch 1. But I've heard you can watch 2 by itself and just understand 1. It's true. 2 can stand on its own, although I do think watching the first film gives you a little bit more as far as understanding. But you could just watch 2 alone. 2 was kind of weird, man. I'm gonna just throw that out there. 2 was kind of weird, and Damien Leone, who directed it, both of them obviously, that's kind of what he wanted to do. He said that 2 was kind of like his Dream Warriors. So if you can kind of think about the difference between the original Nightmare on Elm Street versus Dream Warriors, and it's true. 2 did really get into this really interesting, semi-odd area and vibe. So Julie saying I won't be bothered by spoilers for Terrifier. Okay, there's not really any. Well, there's a couple, but both films are very simple. You know what I'm saying? This isn't like going into a Saw film. You know what I mean? What's up, Philip? Good to see you. Russell's in the chat. And thank you so much, Julie, for reminding people, please hit the like button. Please, definitely helps out and gets the stream out to more folks. Mega Giants saying you can take this with a grain of salt, but Beyond the Mask was told by sources that Scream 7 will be released in theaters in April. Yeah, I heard that as a rumor. And obviously I wanted to get into some Scream talk as well, so we might as well just jump into it. I don't know. If that were the case, then that would, to me anyways, that would mean that they're pretty close to figuring out what they're going to do, the direction they're going to take, which is possible. Because again, we've talked about this. When we hear about casting or decisions for films and so forth, we're usually quite behind that time frame. In other words, like tomorrow, if they said, "Oh, Nev is back in Scream," and everybody's happy, well, that decision probably was made and solidified at least a couple weeks before that. You get what I'm saying? So we haven't heard any concrete information yet about what the direction of Scream 7 will be. Maybe it is already decided. I don't know though. April of 2025, man. We're talking basically a year away. It's tough to say whether I believe it or not. I'm kind of in the middle. It's quite possible they got a game plan together. They know that they wanted to go after Nev. Nev said she was open to coming back. I truly think, and for you guys that haven't seen my latest video on what Skeet Ulrich was talking about, please check that out. Number one, you guys, please. That would really help the channel more than you would ever know. But he talked about their original plan for the trilogy for Scream 5, 6, and 7, and how it was really going to lean into Sam and her dark side, possibly even becoming a Ghostface killer. I don't know, maybe not, but definitely leaning into her dark side and her connection with Billy. That tells me that's what they were going to do, right? So obviously now that's blown up because Melissa's exited. As far as we know, we haven't heard anything otherwise. But that tells me that they had the force to put together a game plan that seemed very interesting and also out of the box. They were doing something a lot different with Sam, which I really appreciate. Because in 6, I don't think they leaned into that enough. I really thought that they were going to be really leaning into her dark side. When we heard all of the promotion, when we saw the trailers, all that stuff, speculation months and months before 6 came out, we were really expecting, at least I was, and several other people, we were expecting a lot of that dark side situation to come forth. You're going into the Ghostface, it's a museum, it's a shrine, right? And they really didn't. And at the end of the movie, putting the mask down, kind of saying symbolically, maybe she's done, maybe she's conquered her demons, but maybe not. And I think 7, if they had done that, would have been so cool, because if they kind of went back in there and she really started to do some interesting stuff, that would have been so cool. But that at least gives me the hope that the filmmakers want to do something, interesting and not expected. So if they do get Nev back, which it looks like that will happen, I'm hoping that the story does something really interesting, right? That's my hope. So that's a long rant, Mega Giants, but let me know what you think. I'm really hopeful. Ava's in the chat. What's up, Ava? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Welcome. And Ben, Ben's going out on a limb now. Art the Clown may end up on the Mount Rushmore of slashers beside Michael, Jason, and Freddy. Whoo, really, Ben? Ben, tell me what you're thinking about it, because you have just started this thing off. So listen, guys, whether you're a fan of Art the Clown or not, we got to talk about the possibility that if Terrifier 3 is successful, like 2 was, the first Terrifier was kind of like a cult type of thing. And obviously it did well enough to prompt the second one. Of course, Damien did a lot of the funding and, working hard and so forth. But if 3 is successful, can that solidify Art the Clown's horror status? I don't think it would put him on the Mount Rushmore. You know what I mean? So, Ben, let me just say that. Let me know what you think, too. I don't think it'll put him on the Mount Rushmore, but it definitely would solidify his status, man. I mean, look, we got the big guns, whether it's Jason, Freddy, or Michael. I would put Ghostface in that as well, you could even think of Leatherface. You know, there's a lot of different ways you could go. We've talked about Mount Rushmores of the slashers before. To me, and let's have you guys throw that in the live chat. To me, Michael, Freddy, and Jason are they're concrete. They gotta be in there. And I know some folks aren't big fans of either of those franchises, any of those three franchises. But the way I look at it, the Mount Rushmore it's the best of the best. It's like the champions. Like when you say the Mount Rushmore of the NBA, right? If you don't have Michael Jordan on that Mount Rushmore, something's wrong. Okay. You know what I mean? You're talking about the best of the best, the champions, the people that have had the most success, that have had the longevity, you know, pop culture status and so forth. So to me, and I know some people will think differently. Some people would rather have Chucky on the Mount Rushmore, or Leatherface, or Pinhead, right? But to me, it's so hard to argue against Freddy, Michael, and Jason, right? Me, fourth place, or the fourth spot, because I'm not going to try to rank them, at least not here right now. But the other spot, you gotta think about Ghostface. You just have to, as far as longevity, as far as the body of work, the success, all of that, the way it changed the genre, right? Which is what Michael, Freddy, and Jason did as well. But could art get to that point? I mean, obviously in the future we don't know. It's possible, but I think the third film will at least solidify his status right now as a contender. I truly do believe that. You guys let me know what you think. Eric saying, I'm all for gore, but Terrifier 2 seemed like it was just trying to outdo part 1, shock the audience. I didn't mind the original, but I found 2 to be quite boring and 2.5 hours. Yeah, I don't think it needed to be 2.5 hours. I think 2 hours would have been fine, even 150, an hour and 50 minutes. I do appreciate that he tried to have more of a story and tried to, give us a little bit more in-depth characters. I mean, when you talk about Sienna and her story arc with her and her brother, I think that was interesting. What he was doing with Terrifier 2 was trying to basically give Art, his nemesis. That's what Sienna represents. She represents the good. He represents the evil. And from what I understand in Terrifier 3, that's going to be delved into a lot more. There's going to be some flashbacks to Sienna's past, a little bit more so than what we got in Terrifier 2. That is, things that dealt with her father. Because if you have seen Terrifier 2, her father was a very interesting character that we didn't get a lot of information on. And there's this whole idea of the divine intervention and all that. It's a lot of stuff to it as far as mythology. With that being said, what's interesting to me, though, is that Damien has said on multiple occasions, now whether or not this will come to pass, but he's said on multiple occasions that T3 was going to be a little bit more lean like Terrifier 1. You know what I mean? Like he was going to kind of get back to the roots of what made the original Terrifier so compelling. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I don't know. I really don't know. Super Tender saying, I enjoy the Terrifier films for what they are. I've interacted with David Howard Thornton a few times. He's very openly political and unable to agree to disagree and just be cool. He's good as art. He's very good as art. He really is. Oh my gosh. I think that he has a certain style that he brings. When you're a character that doesn't speak, you're always under the gun, and I think he's able to do such a good job. Of course, he has mime experience and stuff like that, so but he's very good as art, and I'm really curious to see what they're going to do in 3. I really am. Film Kid saying Dream Warriors, my favorite nightmare film, and this is kind of like a top 5 favorite horror films, but the original Scream 78, It 2017, Dream Warriors, and Child's Play 2. Oh, that's a pretty good list. That's a good list. I like that. Child's Play 2 is a favorite of mine as well. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Melissa? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hey, look who's in the chat. We got Jason in the chat. What's going on, man? Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well. Welcome, welcome. Saying, what's wrong with having over-the-top gore? We have over-the-top comedies, over-the-top action. Why can't we have over-the-top gore? I think that is the appeal. What will be the big scene? Yeah, I think that's definitely kind of what it has become. You know, what's the big scene? How are they going to top the last one? Supposedly, there is, or at least one, if there is only one, but one of the big scenes in T3, from what Damien has teased, it's going to top the first two films. He said, yeah, easily top. And I'm thinking, what more can you do? Right? I mean, obviously, if Saw as a franchise has taught us anything, there's tons of stuff you could do. But yeah, I can't even imagine what he's going to do. I don't have a problem with over-the-top gore if it's done right. If it serves the film, at least to some degree. And I mean, Art is predicated on doing this type of stuff. You know, he's kind of like, he's mischievous that way. Whereas like Freddy, he pokes at you, you know, with your nightmares. He gets you your deepest, darkest secrets and fears and stuff like that. So that's Freddy's thing. Art's thing is to just totally torture you as he's killing you or what have you. So, hey, it is what it is. I don't have any issue with that as long as it's done well. You know, you guys let me know what you think. We got Roxanne Wolf in the chat. Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing well. I don't think I've seen you in the live stream before, but welcome. Hope you enjoy the conversation. And this is a really cool community. It really is. Russell saying more gore the better. And there are some people like that. You know, they absolutely love gore. Me, especially as an Italian horror fan, you know, like Fulci and stuff like that, I don't mind the gore at all. Like, I can dig it. And especially if it's done right, it can actually be something that's special. So that's how I look at it. Just me personally as a horror fan. Dominic is in the chat. What's going on, Dominic? Saying hi. Hope you're doing well. Jason coming back saying over-the-top gore is usually not my thing, but somehow Terrifier makes it fun, just like Saw, where you are like, come on. Same with Terrifier. Art is so damn entertaining and hard not to enjoy his scenes. That's a good point. I think that there is, you know, there's a playfulness to it that he brings, you know, whether you are on board for that or not. So you just sit back and you just accept it for what it is. I mean, put it this way, guys, and even with the biggest horror icons, slasher icons, you know, there's definitely a line that they don't usually cross. And whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing is up to the viewer to decide. Now, we're not back in the days of the MPAA where they were totally muting Friday the 13th films and so forth. You know, those days are gone. I mean, even with things that were muted in Friday the 13th, those kills look kind of pedestrian compared to Terrifier, you know? So, yeah. Super Tender saying, I don't really want to see a good guy become Ghostface. I've never been thrilled by that idea. Well, I'll tell you this, man. The way I was looking at it, I think that it would have been interesting just to see how Sam would have been dealing with it. You know, just something different. If you think about it, we've had up to this point, it's 6 films where we have the final girl be the victim and then having to overcome it. But if the 7th film would have been that final girl being Sam hunting Ghostface killers and almost being kind of a vigilante, I think that would have been kind of interesting. You know, it's all about execution at the end of the day. It truly is. But I think it could have been interesting, depending on how they did it. Roxanne saying, how are you? I'm doing good, Roxanne. How are you? That's the question. How are you? And are you a Terrifier fan? Or are you a fan of legacy icons like Michael and Freddy and Jason? And how do you think Art lines up with them? Let me know. Julie is still working. We have 20 likes. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate that. And definitely, if you haven't hit the like button, please do. Please do. Jason saying Art will become an icon. Well, I'll tell you what. He's on the path. He's on the path. You know, Damien has said he already has the idea for Terrifier 4. And he's teasing that would be the end, that he would end it. Now, of course, we know in horror that's probably not going to be the case, especially if it's successful. I think 3 is going to be very important for the trajectory of Art as a horror icon. If it does well, man, yeah, he could shoot right on up. He really could. There were so many people, you know, at Halloween dressing up like Sienna, you know, so there's a hype around Terrifier, you know, and I think for horror fans, the way I look at it, and it's just like for all of us that are Scream fans or Halloween fans, you know, when the trilogy was out and fresh, like, I'm all for it. I'm all for it to be successful, even if I'm not the biggest fan of certain things, you know, because I think a victory for one franchise can be a victory for other franchises. The success of Scream when it came back with Scream 5, you know, that was a great thing. But I mean, let's be honest, Halloween 2018 helped that, you know, showing that slashers were still viable. You could still make money from slasher horror films. So I look at it like, you know, a win for one is a win for all. I truly do. Julie's saying lots of Art fans. I wonder if he'll become more popular than Pennywise soon. He could. I'm telling you, Julie, if this next film is successful and has the hype and popularity, I definitely do think he could be getting close to Pennywise. I mean, Pennywise has a long history, and it's not just in film, right? It's also in the book. So it's hard to say when he'd become more popular, but at least as far as movies, he definitely could be getting there kind of quick. If 3 is good and successful. Successful is probably the better parameter. Yeah. Super Tender saying Art might be Jeepers Creepers level, but never A tier. Well, I'll tell you what, and it's so funny that you said the Creeper, because I wanted to talk about the Creeper as well. Now, I will say this. I think Art is already on the level with the Creeper, and maybe even above, in my personal opinion, right? Because I love the original Jeepers Creepers. I know there are a lot of people that do. I think Jeepers Creepers 2 was good, and then they just fell off. And I think, and I've said this many times before, I think Jeepers Creepers is the example of a franchise that can totally just implode, and you've got gold. You've got absolute gold. The mythology of the Creeper could be one of the best. Could be one of the best. There's just so much mystery around the Creeper, and even the things that we know about the Creeper is just interesting. You know, it's as interesting as anyone else. It's as interesting as Freddy Krueger, right? But because Jeepers Creepers 3 and 4 were such travesties, they've totally hijacked the franchise. Now, that's not to say it can't, you know, regain its popularity and so forth. Maybe it can, but yeah, it's too bad, because I really wanted to see what they were going to do with that character. Yeah. So I think Art is already on that level with the Creeper. I really do. And Super Tedder's like, no, he is not going to be more popular than Pennywise. You never know, man. I personally really love Pennywise, so for me, he'll always be my favorite clown. Yeah, I definitely get that. I grew up on Pennywise, right? And of course, with the It films, they were very, very successful, you know, and especially Chapter 1 was really, really good. I mean, very good. Great, even. So, Art's got work to do to catch up, in my opinion. You know, if we're talking clown versus clown, which sounds so crazy. Super Tender saying David Howard Thornton is no Robert Englund. Nobody is Robert Englund, and I agree with you on that. Nobody is. Robert is he's so amazing. He is still so charismatic. I was so thankful and so happy to have met him earlier at the con, you know, a couple months ago. And just listening to him talk about his career, his journey, his love for horror, and obviously the whole path and trajectory of the Nightmare franchise, you just realize that, at least for me, Robert Englund he's a living horror legend. He truly is. So no one is going to be Robert Englund. I don't think anyone, well, I don't want to speak for anyone, but I think it'd be foolish to think that, you know, you're going to be, you know, like Robert or better than Robert or whatever. That being said, David Howard Thornton, you know, his character is, you know, art is not going to have that type of connection to the public like Freddy did. Freddy was very special, and people, you know, they've kind of forgotten about Freddy, you know, when we talk about the icons, but because he could talk and Robert is so charismatic, there was a different type of connection that you had with Freddy versus something like a Michael Myers, right? But it's interesting, you know, I think they all have their special things that you just connect with, right? Jason saying Jason, Freddy, Michael, and Leatherface is my Mount Rushmore of horror. Ghostface might make it if Stu comes back. Ghostface never had a return killer. Yeah, that's true. I do wish that we could have gotten that. We were hoping for that in 5, and then of course we were hoping for that in 6. And yeah, I think that would have been so cool to have a return killer. I really, really do. Leatherface is awesome. And I'm sure you've heard, Jason, that it's looking like we're going to get another Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, which is awesome. So hopefully they won't have as many behind the scenes issues like they did with the Netflix TCM. I hope that they, you know, that it's good. I really would love, I mean, think about this, man. Wouldn't it be cool if we could get something on the level of the 03 TCM, right? Just something that's just really well done, hits all the marks, checks all the boxes. I would love for that to happen, because sometimes people get confused, because obviously TCM has had some movies that weren't that great, right? And they kind of forget how good of a franchise or how good of a character Leatherface is. Eric said Michael, Freddy, Jason are definite Mount Rushmore. There you go. Leatherface or Ghostface could be swapped out for 4th. Art could become a horror icon, but not a Mount Rushmore. There are too many before him. It's true. Now, to me, and I think I said this earlier, to me, if you're talking about him as a Mount Rushmore, I mean, we got to be looking into the future. At least 15 years, easily. At least 15 years. He'd have to have at least 3, you know, or maybe more films that are really, I'm talking about really good, for him to even be considered. Because I just don't think, listen, when you talk about Michael, Freddy, and Jason, we're talking about icons of the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, okay, that are still popular today. So you're talking about almost 50 years of just being in the public view, right? It's hard to knock that off, and Leatherface even beforehand. So I agree with that. Hey, we got Sarah in the chat. What's going on, Sarah? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. All right. And Jason, I know I was waiting to see if you were going to say something about the tall man. I wish, and listen, the tall man for me, and you know this, is definitely a sentimental favorite. I love the tall man. I love those 5 films. They were so special to me. But that being said, I just don't think, unfortunately, and maybe it's a good thing, man. Think about this. Maybe it's a good thing that Phantasm never really captured the public view like, you know, Friday the 13th or something like that, right? But those movies are special, and Angus and his portrayal of the tall man will always be special to me, man. No doubt. No doubt at all. T3 sounds like Terminator. It does. It really does. I agree. Dawson, what's up? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Ginger Ninja in the house. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Stan, how's everyone? We're doing pretty good, Ginger Ninja. Tell me what you think about art. You know, I know that you're a huge horror fan, big slasher horror fan as well. You know, will Terrifier 3 solidify Art the Clown's horror status? And I'm not saying making him a Mount Rushmore candidate. I'm just saying basically proves that, hey, he belongs in the conversation with, you know, the Creeper, with Pinhead, with the Tall Man, with Candyman, you know, with Jigsaw. You know what I mean? That's what I'm putting out there. Mount Rushmore, we got to have this conversation 20 years from now. You know what I mean? Sarah says we got 24 likes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you, seriously. Film Kit saying, can you give me your thoughts on the Saw films? I'm doing a watch party on all of them besides Jigsaw and Spiral. I love the Saw films. Film Kit, you could definitely check out my content on Saw. I've gone through the whole franchise. We've ranked the franchise. We talked about the new film, which I really enjoy, Saw X. We're going to obviously be waiting on bated breath for Saw 11 this October. I love the franchise. I love all of them, even the ones that weren't great. And there were a couple of them that weren't great. But I really think that Tobin Bell is an icon, you know, in my opinion. I think that, you know, when you have a franchise that's over 20 years old, just like I was saying for Terrifier, I mean, we're talking about 20 years for Saw, right? 11 movies. In October, it'll be 11 movies. So I think that Jigsaw as a character in this franchise is definitely goated, you know? Is Jigsaw Mount Rushmore? No. But if someone said to me, hey, Jigsaw is that fourth person on Mount Rushmore, I'd be like, okay, I understand. You know, it's definitely a great body of work, a lot of success. Those movies have made a lot of money. So, yeah, this definitely can be argued. Super Tenor saying, I actually really liked that Jester movie we watched. Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. It was different, had a little bit of a different vibe, and he was different than Art, which was good. You definitely don't want to sit there and just copy, right? Just like Art didn't copy Pennywise. T. Parker in the chat saying, I love having over-the-top gore, but with the Terrifier films, they're just not fun to watch, in my opinion, besides the Saw kill. I think that, you know, that is so interesting because the question is, what is fun? You know, and a couple people earlier in the chat were talking about that they do have fun with the Terrifier films, maybe because it's so over the top that it's kind of ridiculous. So it's interesting. I think that's what divides fans. You know, are they having fun watching this, or is it too heavy? Sometimes if a movie is too heavy, you're not gonna like rewatch it. You know, it's not gonna be your cup of tea. So let's see, who else do we have here in the chat? You guys are working hard. Mega Giants, I think Nev's status will dictate the direction of Scream. Oh yeah, there's no doubt. Oh, there's no doubt about it at all. They literally, okay, in my opinion, and I've said this before, they're in like DEFCON status. They gotta get Nev back. They really do. They really do. If they can't get Nev back, this is gonna be it's gonna be so difficult. The one thing I don't want them to do, I don't want a reboot. You know what I mean? I really don't. I think they have got to get Nev Campbell back. They've got to try to, and whether they wrap up the Sydney story or what have you, they've got to get Nev back. If they do, that's going to be very good as far as the look of things. Whether or not the film will be good, we don't know yet. I'm assuming it will be, because in my opinion, all of the films have at least been decent. but they've got to get Nev back. That's like the number one priority. If they do that, you've got Nev, you've got Courtney Cox. If you get Patrick Dempsey in, boom, you're going to be looking pretty good, I think, personally. Sarah saying, I'm happy that people are getting a new, fresh character franchise. It's just not for me. I need a story. I can't do just gore for the sake of it. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely folks that feel that way. There's no doubt. I think that's what makes Terrifier kind of divisive, I think. You know, you have folks that are fans of the gore and you have folks that are not. But I do agree with what you said, Sarah. I'm happy that... listen, and Sarah, you know as well as anyone, we've had so many conversations about legacy franchises and legacy icons, legacy villains in horror, right? One thing that always comes up, always in the live chat, and some of you guys have probably said it too, we got to talk about something else. You know, we need something new. We need something fresh. Don't do the same old thing, right? So it's just interesting because we do have something new. And like Sarah said, it may not be for you, but I think that it's still a good thing for horror, right? And I'm happy that a lot of people are big into it. I really, really am. Jason saying, you get to choose only one, Tony Todd to play the tall man in a Phantasm remake, Amy still to come back to Friday the 13th franchise, or Stu to come back to the Scream franchise. Choose wisely. I think I know your pick. You may not. You may not. Because listen, I'd like to see all three of those things happen. But if we're talking about right now, today, you know, with everyone at the age that they're at and with the movies in the space they're in, the easy answer is to have Stu come back. That's not even a question, because not only is it the right time for Scream, but it would work. It literally could work. And don't get me wrong, you know I love Amy Steele. I absolutely love Amy Steele. But then you got to ask the question, how would they make that work? Are they even ready to do a Friday the 13th film? We haven't heard anything about it. We've heard teases, but as far as we know, nothing is concrete, unless any of you guys, or if you, Jason, if you've heard anything different, because I haven't. So right now, if I'm making that choice, it's based upon the parameters of what's going on, you know, as far as the movie space right now. Tony Todd is playing the tall man. I'd love to see that, but I don't think that's going to happen, man. I mean, because they couldn't even let Tony Todd play Candyman in the new Candyman movie, which was ridiculous. You saw 2 seconds of Tony Todd in that movie. It was so frustrating. It was like, you're telling me you couldn't let Tony Todd be in this movie? You couldn't even let him like do voice work? What is going on? Like, it's a total missed opportunity. But Jason, I want to hear what you thought I was going to say. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but hopefully that was a good explanation. Troy, what's up? Good to see you. I hope you're doing well too. Ginger Ninja saying, oh no, the Creeper, the OG trilogy is fine, but that reboot, trash, utter trash. I don't want to hate on a film, but that was the toughest watch ever. Yeah, man, that last movie. Whew. Super Tenor, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Sorry, I'm running behind here. Appreciate it. Says Jeepers Creepers needs Halloween 2018 treatment. I agree. That would be the best thing that they could have. Someone to come in, you know, with a really good vision, really respecting the source material, and move it forward. You know, even if it's just for a film or a trilogy, right? Which is what 2018 did. And again, I know some people are, oh, 2018. You know, I've heard some people say it's the worst film in the franchise. I'm thinking, what are you talking about? But it is what it is. But you can't deny that it created such a success for the franchise and a hype. I mean, Michael has never been more popular. It's crazy, but it can happen. So Super Tenor, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it, man. It helps out here. So let's do a couple of super chat clips for you. Sometimes when you're hanging out and you're drinking some water, you might want to keep a lookout for some odd things that happen, like this guy. That could literally happen, man. It really, really could. Thank you, thank you so much, man, for the for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Seriously. Let's. The guy who was drinking his water, he just turns around. It's crazy. T. Parker saying, "I'm not a Terrifier fan, but art will definitely become an icon. Look at the Nun. Just The Conjuring 2 alone made her an icon." Yeah. I mean, I think definitely he's gonna have the horror status, like you said, the Nun did. Sometimes it's the look, of the character, or maybe the hype, or maybe if they're in a very successful franchise or film like The Conjuring 2. But yeah, I think this next movie is going to be very telling. Very telling. Melissa saying, "Did you know Tony Todd got stung?" Yes. Oh yeah. Yep. I think he said he put into the contract to get $1,000 per sting or something like that. Yeah. I agree. Let me see if I can catch up a little bit here. Julie saying, "I'd say definitely watch Halloween 2 from 81 before watching H2O. I know you love Halloween 2. I know you do. I Know What You Did Last Summer is coming. Yes. And we'll see how that goes. I'm kind of back and forth with that. If you guys were here on Friday night, and hey to Gina, if you guys were here on Friday night, that was one of the movies that made our list for overrated. We almost had a riot in the chat. It was pretty fun. I hope the reboot is good. That's all I can say. I'm a little worried because we've heard so many things back and forth about it. But yeah. Let's see. Troy saying, "I would put Chucky above Leatherface on Mount Rushmore. The franchise is pretty weak." Okay. All right, let's do this, guys. This is for the fun of it. And all you have to do is just put in one word. Who should be on Mount Rushmore more, Chucky or Leatherface? In my opinion, and Child's Play definitely has some good entries. There's no doubt. I think they've got a couple really good entries. And, I'm not counting the TV show. I mean, that's kind of part of it, but, I'm not really big into the TV show yet. I haven't really got a chance to dive deep into it. But Child's Play has also had some down moments too. So I don't know. Personally, for me, I wouldn't put them on the Mount Rushmore over Leatherface. But I do know there are a lot of people that would. A lot of people. Sarah saying, "For me to get the title of icon, you need to be a household name outside of the horror community. Everyone has heard of Michael, but none of my friends offline have heard of Art or the Creeper." That's a good point. You do, and that's what I was saying earlier too. Like Freddy was a pop icon. You know what I mean? He was on MTV. Right, he had commercials, and I think that's part of it, is when you are, like you said, a household name, when you have transcended the genre. People know who Michael Myers is. People have heard of Jason. They know when they see him in the hockey mask, they know who that is. People have heard of Freddy Krueger. They've heard of Nightmare on Elm Street. Hell, we had the President of the United States reference Nightmare on Elm Street. Okay, so that's when you're an icon. That's why, and you guys know, and if you don't, please check out. We do community polls almost every day, but I've done polls where I've asked those types of questions, and sometimes people, it's interesting, because I try to look at things without, with objectively, right? I just can't imagine someone saying that Freddy isn't an icon. You may not like the movies, or you may not think they're scary, or you think they're too weird or whatever, but I can't deny that he's an icon. I mean, I'm a huge fan of him, but even if I wasn't, I don't know, man. It's like Michael Jordan, like I was saying earlier with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is one of the greatest basketball players ever, but growing up, there are a lot of times I was rooting against Michael Jordan, and that was just a preference of mine. Not because I didn't think he was a great player, but, long story. But anyways, but there's no doubt that he's an icon. It's just the facts, right? So, yeah. T. Parker saying with Ghostface, we only had family members of the killers that became before in each film. True enough. True enough. Philip saying we're at 28 likes. All right. Very cool. Ginger Ninja saying Art could be an icon if the third movie is done correctly, not just gore for gore's sake, but as a terrifying antagonist. Right now, he is getting there. Well said, man. Well said. And I agree. I agree. Julie saying I'd vote for Jigsaw to be on Mount Rushmore. All right, Julie. Now, Julie, who are your 4 on Mount Rushmore? I'm pretty sure I know, but who are your 4? Let us know. Let's see. Yeah, the Jester. It was all right. It was all right, Ginger Ninja. I think you'll like it. It was different. It was different. 28. All right. Melissa saying Art will never take Michael's spot. Well, I agree with that as of right now, but never say never. I mean, 30 years from now, we could have 15 Terrifier movies and he could become a household name. Who knows, right? If someone had told me when I was growing up that there would have been a Halloween 2018 that would have made the most money in the franchise with Jamie Lee Curtis as an elderly Laurie Strode, I would have been like, yeah, right. They're going to keep doing that. But it happened, right? It happened. So Ben saying Saw 3 was the end for me. I just didn't feel it anymore. I'll tell you what. Check out Saw 6 and Saw X, because I think those are awesome entries. I personally, I enjoyed 4 and 5. 7 was kind of, that wasn't as good. And, the jury is still out on, when we talk about things like Spiral. But there were some good entries after 3, which is why, for me anyways, as a franchise, I really, it holds high for me. It really does. Tobin Bell is just, I think Tobin Bell is just amazing. He really is. Let's see. And I got to catch up to you guys. I know I'm way behind. And Ben saying a TV fell on Stu's head. He was a human being. He's dead. Let's move on. Now, Ben, here's the thing. I'm just going to throw this out there. They may never bring him back. And you're absolutely right. But we do know that Wes Craven himself was going to bring him back in 3. They had the script. Everything was done. Matthew Lillard was ready to rock. And they pivoted because of the Columbine incident. He was going to be revealed to be a mastermind and so forth. So the way I look at it is, if Wes Craven himself, rest in peace to Wes, if Wes Craven himself was going to bring Stu back, then there you go. And the other thing about it too is that Wes had never said that Stu died, So it's a lot of interesting stuff about it. We saw a lot of breadcrumbs in Scream 5 and Scream 6 that were kind of teasing a possible return, especially in 5 when they teased his possible return and also Kirby's possible return. And then in 6, they brought Kirby back. I thought that was one of the strongest cases that they might bring Stu back. And Kirby, for all intents and purposes, was dead. Now we know that Wes would have brought her back. Of course, he passed away, but it's an interesting conversation for sure. It really, really is. But we'll see. We will see. Super Tenor saying, most great villains, in my opinion, garner at least a sliver of sympathy. They're tragic. With Art the Clown, he doesn't have that, at least not yet. Yeah. Maybe in 3 they'll do something with that. I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good point. It's a good point. Let's see. T. Parker saying, I'm not a Stu's alive believer, but after the direction 6 took, especially the lackluster of a reveal, I'm more open to the idea. Yeah, I think all the cards are on the table. They really, really are. And listen, guys, let me just say this. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of the franchise, a huge fan of the original. I can't tell you how many times I've watched that movie over the years since I was a kid. But the truth of the matter is, he may never come back. He may never come back, and we'll still be talking about it over and over and over again. But when you hear certain things like Wes was going to bring him back and everything was set to do that, in like a couple weeks, or maybe it was 2 weeks, I can't remember, before they were going to start production, they pivoted because of the tragedy. I mean, that makes you think, and my good buddy Steven, who's had some amazing interviews with like Alan Robinson, who was the stunt double for Matthew in Scream, and talked about that scene. I mean, when the TV fell on him, he was doing the doubling for Matthew. Wes Craven said, "You're going to get electrocuted." He never said to him, "You're going to die." And those are things that the director does talk about. Here's your death scene, play dead, whatever. So it's a lot of interesting stuff about it. I think that's what makes it so much fun to talk about it, though, right? Because there's so many angles and viewpoints. Why he could be alive, why he can't be alive, will he come back, won't he, should he, people want him to, people don't, and I think that's what makes it really interesting, in my opinion. Virgo, what's up? Saying Scream got the 2018 treatment in a way, and it did well. Hope more franchises can make a proper return. It's time. Yeah, man. I can't wait for Friday to come back. Hopefully Nightmare will come back. I think Halloween 2018 showed that you can take a long-standing franchise and still inject some new life into it, if done correctly. Pay respect to it, just what James Jude Courtney was able to do as Michael Myers, man, it's just amazing, totally amazing, and I'm so glad they did it. Now Sarah is voting for Leatherface over Chucky. Super Tender's going with Leatherface. Julie's going with Leatherface. Ginger Ninja holding the torch for Chucky. All right. Film Kid going with Chucky. And Julie, you're right. Both franchises do have some stinker sequels. But I think with Leatherface, I just think that you got to give it to him, man. I mean, the OG alone just did so much for the genre. That's the other thing to me when you talk about icon status. What did it do? Right? And there's no denying. I know some people aren't big fans of the OG. They like the 2003 remake better, and that's fine. The remake was very good, but you can't deny that the OG had such a huge mark on cinema. It really did, and still does. There's still people that talk about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre and what Tobe Hooper was able to do. So that's where it changes for me, and you say, man, you got to give it to Leatherface. You really do. Sarah, you are on it. The overrated horror stream. We had some amazing moments. That was such a fun conversation, in my opinion. Probably our best conversation for our Friday night stream so far. Not that the other ones weren't great, but man, we were just. I think it was because we were really getting into the nitty gritty, and people in the live chat had so many different opinions, and it was fun just weeding through all the different topics. It was really, really cool. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, check that out. Let's see. And that's a good point too, Ben. Art carries. Yeah, see, the supernatural thing is interesting to me. Okay. And I'm really curious to see where we go with that in 3. If you guys have seen 2, the ending of it was kind of like, what? Are you freaking serious? So the idea of what could happen in 3 intrigues me. And whether or not it's executed well, that's another story. Damien wants to get down back to the basics, and I think that's a great idea. The first film, the one thing I will say about the first film, and we've talked about it on Slasher Movie Club, the first film had a lot of creepy moments. It really did. You know, it kind of took me back to old school horror, so I enjoyed that. So if they do that in 3, whew, I'm all for it. Julie saying my Mount Rushmore, probably Michael, Leatherface, Pennywise, and Jigsaw. Whoa, all right. Wow. You caught me off guard with that. Interesting. Very interesting. She's got Pennywise and Jigsaw and Leatherface. All right. T. Parker coming in with Michael, Ghostface, Chucky, and Jigsaw. Wow. Okay, guys. Interesting stuff. Travis, what's up? Travis in the chat. Mega Giants is going with Michael, Jason, Freddy, and Ghostface. All right. I definitely agree with that one. No doubt. Supertender saying Saw X fits nicely into the original trilogy as a 1.5. It does. It really does. I was talking to my good friend Jake earlier, and Killjoy Jake, and we were talking about how, and I told him, as a huge fan of the franchise, he is as well. I was nervous about Saw X. I really was, because I was thinking, are they going to be able to go back that far? You know, we're talking about a franchise that's 20 years old, guys. You know, are they going to be able to go back that far in the mythology and make it work, make it make sense, and somehow push the narrative forward? You know, even if it's just in this pocket timeline that they've created. And personally speaking, and I know especially Julie's a big fan of these things. Personally speaking, I would love to see the next movie not only carry on from where we left off in Saw X, but maybe even push the story forward in the regular timeline. And I think it's quite possible. So whether or not that happens remains to be seen. But we got a certain character that we saw at the end of Saw X, and that's my boy. And all I'm saying is, if anyone can get out of that bathroom, it's him. Oh. Tobin Bell was snubbed with his performance in Saw X. You mean as far as like horror fans? I think a lot of people enjoyed his performance. I know I did. I thought he was fantastic. And I'm all for him doing some more in Saw 11. He was just so good. That was the most Tobin Bell that we'd ever had in the franchise. And I think it's so cool. And I think that's part of the reason that Saw X was so good, right? Is that it was so focused on Jigsaw, you know? Very, very smart move. If they're smart, they're going to continue it. Buff Shaman, what's up? In the chat saying hi. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. Hope you're doing well, man. Hope you're doing well. Film Kid saying, do you think The Jester is worth $15? Oh, that's tough to say. I would say, having only seen it once, and I think it was some good stuff in it. I think if you can rent it for cheaper, you know, like $2.99, I think it's worth that. You know, checking it out first. I don't know if I'd be ready to drop $15 on it. I'd have to see it again. You know, there was some good stuff in it, though. You know, I did it as a watch party on my good friend Craven Something Scary's channel. And sometimes when you're doing a watch party, you can't fully absorb it, you know, because we're having commentary at the same time. But it was some good stuff in it, for sure. Yeah. Julie saying, how could I leave Ghostface off my Mount Rushmore? I need to retract my previous message. Gonna remove Leatherface and add Ghostface instead. You know, Julie, I was wondering about that. I was like, wow, Ghostface isn't even on there. So you've got Michael, Ghostface, Pennywise, and I forgot. I totally forgot. Maybe it was Chucky. Let me know. I was wondering about that. Yes, please hit the like button if you haven't. That would really help us out. Yeah. Super Tenor also saying Jester is worth a watch, maybe not $15. I agree. Ben saying, Knight, I'm curious, what does a potential Stu return have to do with Columbine? Well, at the time for Scream 3, the script was set up that he was a mastermind. He was incarcerated. He was a mastermind behind Ghostface killings and so forth. And you know, they just made that decision when the Columbine tragedy happened. You know, Wes Craven, Kevin Williamson, everyone involved, they just said, hey, we got to change this. We really, really have to change this. And I think it was the right move. I referenced that just to say that in a world where Wes and Kevin were going to bring him back, that says to me that his fate at the end of 96 is up in the air. That's my way of looking at it, you know, because like I said, if Wes was going to bring him back, then there's a possibility that he could come back in 7. You know, he could have come back in 5 or 6. Whether he does, that's a different thing, you know. And especially now, it's funny because you could almost make the argument that there's more of a chance that he'll come back now if they get Nev back, right? But then the other way could be said too. You know, maybe there was something that they were planning to do with Stu that was a connection to Sam. And of course, now that we don't have Sam, what's going to happen? So it's tricky. It's very tricky. Let's see. Film Kid saying, gotta get going before I go. Can you do a mini version thing on the original Candyman in 2021? A mini version? Meaning, what did I think of it? I enjoyed a lot of it, but there were a lot of missed opportunities. If you want, check out my review on it. We did a live stream. We did a review. We did a hell of a lot of lead up to the new Candyman films. So check that out on my channel, Film Kid. We got a lot of content on it. But I did think there were some good things that they did. I just wish there was, well, you know, like we said earlier, Tony Todd, that was a huge missed opportunity. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Julie saying, T. Parker, yes, I made a YouTube comment after Scream 5 came out saying Roger better get his own video, full screen credit in Scream 6, and it ended up happening. Good for him. Nice. Buff Shaman saying, with a horror movie set in real life, rules like Scream, I like the dead to stay dead. True. I agree with that. Like, that's why, like with Billy, there was no way they were going to bring him back. So they found a really interesting way to bring Skeet back, you know. Damien should do a Friday 13th. I think he'd be really fit for that. I've done a video on that as well. And he wants to do one. So let's see. Ben saying Texas Chainsaw Massacre definitely falls into my top 10 somewhere. All right. Yep. T. Parker saying, I find it ironic how a lot of people praised 2018 for being an homage to the original, but a lot of people criticized Scream 5 for doing the same. Well, I think that here's my opinion on it. And I enjoyed Scream 5. I think my issues with Scream 5 were more about the balance of the characters. I don't think they had a great balance of the characters. You know, I think Nev and Courtney didn't have enough to do. They gave a lot to David, of course, and that was the setup to Dewey dying, which, you know, that's a whole nother story to talk about. But I just don't think they had a good enough balance. Like in 4, and I've said this many times before, Scream 4 had a great balance between the OG 3 and the new characters. You had time that you could spend with, you know, Gail and Sydney and Dewey, but you also had these brand new characters that you could spend time with. Jill, Kirby, Charlie, you know, and I think that it was such a better balance than 5. You know, you had a lot with Sam, a little bit with Tara, a lot with Dewey, a little bit with Nev, a mid amount with Gail. Like, it was kind of all over the place. But to your point, I think that the praise for 2018 paying homage to the original, Halloween has had a roller coaster of sequels, right? We've seen Michael not even be in a movie like Season of the Witch. We've seen Stones defeat him like in Halloween 6. We've seen him go after his niece like in Halloween 4 and 5. So there's been different things going on with it, Halloween 20 years later. So it's had kind of a roller coaster of stories and angles, whereas with Scream, it's been this continuous story up until 5, where we're going into a different direction. So I think it might have been based upon its franchise. In other words, the stories in the franchise. I think they did some really good things in 5, and I don't think the criticism for it being kind of an homage to the original, I don't think that's too fair myself. So well said, T. Parker. FD in the chat saying, I haven't seen any of them. Any of the Terrifier movies? Let me know. Ginger Ninja saying, you gotta have Freddy, Jason, and Michael up there. The fourth one, why not Darth Vader? And I love Vader, right? But I agree, man. You gotta have the big three. The big three, to me, you got to. And again, I'm just being honest about it, and I love all three of those icons. You guys know that, obviously, if you've been around this channel long enough. But I'm also talking about from afar, pulling back as far as their longevity, their imprint on the genre, their success. Those things, that's beyond a fandom. That's beyond a bias, right? Those are facts. So that's why I just think that they have to be there. They just have to. So let's see. Julie also saying, I think 18 did it better than Scream 5. Yeah, I could agree with that. No doubt. FD saying his Rushmore, Leatherface, Mick Taylor, The Collector, and Harry Warden. Wow. All right. Wow, that's totally different. Harry Warden is another example, like we were talking about earlier about like with the Creeper. I think Harry Warden could have been really cool. A great look, a mythology that was cool. You had the old school connection as far as an 80s slasher in My Bloody Valentine. And that's a great example of a franchise that never was. I mean, the remake I think was pretty good too, but man, yeah, Harry Warden. Good call. Let's see. Hey, Paula's in the chat. Good to see you. All right. No one really talks about Mick Taylor. That's a good point. Although we have on Slasher Movie Club. So FD, I don't know if you were around when we had our conversation. But definitely check it out. You guys know we kind of loved diving into slasher movies from all over, whether it was the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, all the way up until today. So Wolf Creek, when you think about Wolf Creek, we had a really interesting conversation about it. And I think, yeah, check that out if you haven't. It was probably, I don't know, maybe it's been about 4 months now since we had talked about Wolf Creek, but it was a fun conversation. Really cool movie too. Julie saying we hit 30 likes. All right. That is awesome. Let's see. Buff Shaman saying insomnia and my own streaming keeps me generally too late to catch the live streams, and I miss it when I don't catch it live. Oh, okay. I hear you. Well, there's always replay. But great to have you here tonight. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, okay. It was Jigsaw. Okay. All right. Ghostface, Michael, Pennywise, and Jigsaw. There you go. I like that. That's pretty good. Let's see. Julie said, I really like Jill and Wayne Bailey in costume. There you go. Mega Giants, what are thoughts on American Psycho getting a modern day remake? I'm kind of curious what they're going to do. I think if they want to be successful, they have to they have to have their own identity. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be kind of like a beat for beat remake. I think they should have their own connection, because you're not going to redo, or you're not going to do it better. You know what I mean? Something like, if you think about like Maniac, the remake of Maniac was so much different than the OG, but it was good in its own way. It was different. Suspiria, although I didn't really enjoy the remake as much as the original, but at least they were trying to do something different. So I'm all for it. And hopefully it'll shine light on the OG for people that were not big on it. And interestingly enough, and it's funny you mentioned American Psycho, but this Friday we will be talking about 2000s horror. And we're going to compile our list. We're going to have our elimination, as we always do. And I can almost guarantee that American Psycho will be getting some love, either on the panel or in the live chat. So definitely get ready to hang out with us on Friday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see. DJ saying Anthony Perkins, Robert Englund, Tim Curry, and Kane Hodder as Jason. That's your Mount Rushmore. That's a good one. I like that. I like it. Hey, we got Steven in the house. What's up, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. A good friend from Craven Something Scary. Hope you're doing well, bro. Good to see you. And Steven, let us know what your Mount Rushmore of horror icons is. I have a pretty good idea what it is. But we've had a lot of people with a lot of different combinations, man. It's crazy. It's fun. T. Parker saying Jill's my favorite Ghostface. She's the most evil of them all. I like to believe she had Charlie do all the killing so she could be like Sydney, with only killing the killers she framed. It's interesting. I love Jill as Ghostface as well. No doubt about that. Gosh, 4 is so awesome. It really is. I don't know if I'd say she's my favorite Ghostface, though. That's a conversation for another time, but she's awesome. She really is. One of my favorite reveals, for sure. Because my jaw dropped when she pulled... I mean, I was like, what? When she pulled the mask, I was like, are you serious? So, well said. Ty saying I'd love Damien to do an Evil Dead movie. He could. I mean, look, we've seen people do movies that we never really thought they lined up well with, so it's possible. I don't know if he lines up well with an Evil Dead movie, Not saying that he couldn't do it, but other directors come to my mind before Damien, but I definitely think as far as the gore and the blood and stuff like that, he'd do well with it, I think he would. I really do. Buff Shaman saying Mount Rushmore would have to be Jason, Freddy, Norman Bates, and Victor Crowley. All right. Wow. Victor getting some love. Hatchet, obviously. And Hatchet's another example of another franchise of Victor Crowley himself, where, it almost was going to make that jump, but it just didn't. It just didn't. For whatever reason. That's why to me, that's why thinking about Terrifier 3, seeing what happens is going to be interesting, because it could be the death of a franchise, or it could be the launching pad, into iconic status. Super Tenor, catch you later. Take it easy. Hope you have a good night. All right. Steven saying the execution of the writing in 5 makes it a pale comparison when considering 2018, which was written so much better. It was. The writing is everything. I agree, man. I really agree. And the characters, right, man? I mean, we've talked about this a million times. Like in 2018, the story is a Laurie Strode story, right? But we had these brand new characters. We had no clue who they were, but they were written well. We had time with them. You got to care about Allison, even Karen. All these new characters, and it worked. The podcasters in the opening, Aaron, those guys, they really had weight. Whereas in Scream 5, like, Like if you think like someone like Liv or Wes, like we just didn't have any time with those guys. We didn't even have time with Sydney. I mean, so it is about the writing, and I think that's where they kind of messed up. That's where they messed up. Season of the Witch is perfection. I love Season of the Witch. Yeah. Paula's saying maybe John Carpenter producing Scream 7. I'd love to see something like that, just out of curiosity. I don't think that would happen though. I really don't. John, and I get it. He's really he's excited about his music, and he's doing great stuff with that. I don't see him doing something like producing a Scream movie, but never say never. Virgo saying Halloween and Scream are two different franchises. Yes, they are both slashers, but they aren't doing the same thing. That is true. Yep. FD saying at least Scream 5 timeline makes sense. Halloween's all over the place timeline-wise. Oh, true. Yeah. Halloween is definitely all over the place. 5 different timelines, whereas Scream has 1 timeline. So there's no doubt about that. Yeah, no doubt. But there are some people that love that. Yeah. T. Parker saying, I feel Gail had the best development in 5 since Scream 2, where she cares more about people close to her than her career, but 6 ruined that. I don't know, man. She had some pretty good moments in 4, I felt. 5 was a little different. I don't know, man. I'd have to really think about that. I just think that for me, Gale in 5 and 6 have been lackluster. Okay. Definitely versus the trilogy. 4 we could have a discussion on. But I do think that she had a nice part in 4. I really do. I think that all 3 of them, and it was cool seeing that little triangle thing with Dewey and Judy and Gale. There was some fun stuff in that. But I just hope that in 7, if Courtney Cox comes back, I just want to see Gale, the Gale that I've always loved. And that doesn't mean she has to be cutthroat. She doesn't have to be. But I loved seeing her on the case, like just having interaction. She's such a fantastic actress, and the character has so many possibilities. Like even in 3, like it was so much fun seeing her trying to figure out things, and it was, I don't know. We'll have to see. Ben saying My Bloody Valentine is my favorite standalone slasher. Well, there you go. It is fantastic. I was so glad that we were able to watch that for Bloody Lovers Fest. FD saying Mick Taylor's from Wolf Creek. Yes. It is. And Julie, wow. Thank you so much, Julie. She's got the link to our Wolf Creek episode. Wow, you probably had to search for that. I think it was at least 4 months ago. Thank you so much, though. But yeah, for you guys and the Wolf Creek fans and so forth, definitely check out our episode on that. It was one of those streams that was a lot of fun, but there are a lot of people that don't know about Wolf Creek. So I was glad that we could talk about it. Yes. Let's see. FD saying Wolf Creek 2 and the show is good as well. Wolf Creek 3 still in development. Yeah. Yep. We got the Wild Guys. What's up, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. All right. Ben saying American Psycho's in my top 5 of all time, so I'm squeamish about a remake. Yeah, it can be. Like I said, it could go bad. It could go bad. It's all about what they're planning to do. But again, man, I'm pretty sure on Friday night there's going to be some love for American Psycho, because we're going to be talking about the 2000s and our favorites from that decade. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Ginger Ninja also a fan. I know that. Yes. MMA's in the chat. What's up? Waiting for a sequel to the collection. Yeah, I know. That's oof. I don't know if it's going to happen. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to happen. And Steven saying the Julie You're in my thoughts. Hope things are turning the corner for you. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And Julie, as always, we appreciate you being here and having some fun, and we hope that it's definitely being a fun time for you. We definitely do, and we appreciate all that you do to help us, and being in the community and also moderating. Absolutely. Troy saying won't ever make a Rushmore since there will only be one, but Rose the Hat is up there. She can suck the essence out of me anytime. Sorry for the innuendo. Okay, all right. Listen, and you guys know I love Dr. Sleep, but you're right. I just don't think that you could ever. That probably would never happen. Now, if we talk about people's favorite villains, just straight favorites, yeah, I think that there's a lot of people that are fans of that film and are finding that film as time goes on, which I'm happy about. I'm so happy about that. I was really happy when we did our watch party for Dr. Sleep. There were a lot of people that were like, "I've never seen it." I'm like, "You haven't seen this? You got to watch it." But it's too bad because she's the type of villain that really could have a really cool arc, but at the same time, sometimes it's great to have the one and done, And speaking of Julie, there we go. Thank you so much. Julie's pulling up all these links. American Psycho. That was a great episode, a really fun episode, guys. Definitely check out that one. We had a blast, Coriander and I. That was a fun conversation. Yeah. And yeah, man, Steven, I know 4 is your favorite sequel in the Scream franchise. Same here. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yep. It's amazing. It really is. It needs more love. T. Parker saying American Psycho is a timeless classic, a masterpiece. It doesn't need a remake, but it can't be worse than American Psycho 2. That's a good point too. Yeah. Yep. A very good point. Rusty Nail. Oh, now we're getting into it. Joyride. Yeah. Very, very cool. Buff Shaman saying a lot of icons are underrated, but their cult status makes them still iconic. Well said. Well said. And Gina, the producers are going to have to kiss some ass to get Nev back. Probably, but probably more importantly, they got to bring in that money. That money. Yes. She deserves it. That was... Look, I won't even get down that road, but you're telling me you don't understand how important Nev Campbell is to Scream? And that's not to say that you can't do a movie without her. You can. 6 made a lot of money. It had a lot of great moments. Missed opportunities as well, though, right? But, yeah, man, you got to pay her money. Come on. Let's get real. Let's get real. Let's see. Melissa's a fan of Friday 3. That's a great sequel. I love it. You know that. Steven says, is Mount Rushmore Ghostface, Michael Myers, Freddy, Jigsaw, and Jason. All right. Now, if you were to put that down to just 4, who goes? Who goes, man? I have an idea who you'd say. But yeah, they're all amazing. They really are. One day, maybe John Carver will be added to that list. Maybe. I hope so. I hope so. We'll see, man. I'm really excited, though, for Thanksgiving, too. I really want to see what Eli is going to do with this mythology. Because the first movie, I think it checked so many boxes. It really did. And I think that they could do some really cool things for the sequel. I know that they're... And I like the fact that they're going to take time to really get a good story. That's a great thing. I love hearing that. I really do. Troy saying, I'm a Scream 3 naysayer. The worst of the series easily, in my opinion. Ooh, wow. I like 3. I like 3. It's... There's a funness to 3, if that makes any sense, Let's see. Paul is a fan of Scream 3. All right. Virgo saying a hot take. I think TCM 03 is better than the original. Yeah, I hear a lot of people saying that. I hear a lot of people saying that, and that's fine. '03 was really good. I mean, in my opinion, I've said this many times. I think it's one of the best remakes. You know, when you talk about slasher remakes and especially legacy remakes, it's one of the best. It just is for me. You know, just my opinion only. And I can see why people would pick it over the original. So yeah, I understand. Ben said, "Knight, you're always a class act." Well, thank you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You as well, my friend. You as well. I appreciate, you know, having these discussions and having some fun with you guys. It's always fun. Yeah. Let's see. And I know I'm way behind. Melissa saying Roman is my favorite ghost face. Well, there you go. Yeah. MMA saying I always wished Scream never killed off Randy. He's still my favorite character in the franchise because I feel like the audience is Randy. It's a good point, man. I think Jamie was just so good in those movies. He was fun, you know. He was just fun. And that's what Scream is. It's horror and it's fun. And he brought so much fun to those films. And I think that that's something that was missing a bit, especially in 5 and 6, maybe even a little in 4, you know. But yeah, it's interesting to think about it. Mega Giants is a fan of Gale Weathers. I am too. I love Gale. I do. I hope that they can do right by her in 7. I really do. Hey, we got Nanette is in the chat. What's up, Nanette? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Saying hello to everyone. Very cool. Yeah. Let's see. Hey, we got Val in the chat. Val, great to see you. Hope you're doing well. Wow, this is awesome. And I appreciate you guys coming in here. Val saying my Mount Rushmore, The Shape, Jason, Ghostface, and Freddy. Yep, there it is. There it is. That's exactly the way I'm looking at it as well. Yeah, I just think, you know, again, and I'm just talking my opinion, guys. You know, I know you guys have some other thoughts too, and that's great. That's what makes conversation fun. To me, you just gotta have Michael, Freddy, and Jason in there. Like, it's almost like, and again, with the parameters being icon meaning is not just that it's your favorite, but it's also the imprint it's had on the genre, you know, on pop culture, you know, and longevity and its success and so forth. You know, when you have those parameters, it's, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know. Ben saying I was afraid we'd never get Thanksgiving, so I was overjoyed when it surpassed my expectations. Me too, man. I never thought that they were going to do it. And I was so happy to see that they were going to do it. And then it was great. Man, we came out of the theater with smiles on our faces. It was great. I love that, man. There's almost nothing better than that. The only thing that would be better is if all of us could go to a movie theater together. Could you imagine that? Like, we all rent out a theater, we go in to see a horror movie, and it's great. You know, an hour and 50 minutes of greatness. That would be amazing. That would be amazing, guys. Buff Shaman saying, I really hate when a franchise with great potential gets derailed by bad low budget writing. Pumpkinhead 1 and 2 were solid, but the writing was the first thing to go past 2. That's a good point. And I love Pumpkinhead. We had so much fun when we did a watch party for Pumpkinhead. I don't know if you saw that one, man, but it was so much fun because it's a movie that has so much goodness, right? And I agree, a franchise can get derailed so easily. That's why when we have franchises that survive and thrive, that's why I get interested in it as far as how that happens, because there's just so many ways that a franchise can die. It's just so many ways. So those that have made it and are keeping at it one way or the other, it's really interesting, especially when you're talking about franchises that have been around for 30 years, 40 years. Halloween will be 50 years in 2028. Can you imagine that? Wow. Let's see. Yeah, I think Nev obviously helped to build the franchise, man. There's no doubt. No doubt about it. She deserves the money. Okay. I'm just being honest. It's just like with Jamie Lee Curtis coming back in 2018. Give her the money. Just give her the money. She's the face of the franchise, other than obviously Michael. And same thing with, Sydney. But I'm just saying, give Nev the money. Let's get a good story. Let's have some fun. Boom. Val, thank you so much. Tomorrow night, whoo, guys, we are ready for rocks, tomatoes, whatever is going to be thrown all over the place, whether it's on the panel or in the live chat. Tomorrow's Battle World, I don't even know how it's going to go, man. All four of us we're all kind of like, oh man, what's going to happen? Because we're fans of both of these both of these movies, The Shining versus The Exorcist, two bona fide classics. I don't even know what to say. I really don't. When it was greenlit, it was kind of like, oh my God, we kind of froze a little bit. It was Eric's turn on the list to pick and decide what we would do. So we talked about it a little bit before we, all were in agreement. But it's going to be fun, man. So anyways, Val, thank you for putting the link there. Definitely hit that link. Get those likes up. We would really appreciate that, guys. Seriously. And please plan to join us tomorrow. Just again, just clear out your time. Hang out with us for about 70 minutes tomorrow night. We're going to be starting right before 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We hope that you all will be there. Seriously. We put a lot of time into this one. I'm still prepping on it. I've done prep for it the last couple of nights. I'll be prepping some more tonight. So yeah, it's going to be fun. We're almost at 40 likes. Okay. All right. Troy coming in with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Troy. We appreciate that. Seriously. Thank you. Saying Art solidified himself as the cream of modern icons. David killed it. Conveys any emotion without a word. Was great in part 2. Which was a fun-ass film. Okay, well, there we go. Someone has definitely thrown the gauntlet down. I do think when you're talking about modern icons, I mean, you really have to respect art. You really do. You may not like the films, and that's fine. But, I mean, he's definitely made an imprint. There's no doubt about it. Because there's been so many icons in the last 20 years that have tried to break through that haven't. Some of you guys have already talked about them, whether it's Victor Crowley, the Collector, obviously the Creeper kind of is like, the only one that really, to me, has broken through, totally broken through is Jigsaw. Jigsaw, to me, is legit, concrete, goated, no doubt. Troy, thank you so much for the super chat, man. We really appreciate it. Let's play a super chat clip for you. And again, sometimes if you have an argument with a friend, it could get very, very interesting, and it might go like this.
Poor little hoe right there. You went out with Brian. Well, he's mine. And now I'm loco crazy. You stink. There you go.
There you go, man. Thank you. Thank you so much, Troy. I appreciate the support. It really makes a difference, man. It really does. Okay, let me do some catching up. I know I'm way behind. Let's see. And again, thank you guys for being here. This is a lot of fun. This is a good conversation. We've been all over the place. Yes, it's true. And thank you, Val, for reminding people. Go to the homepage. We've got 4 of our streams. I believe it's 4 of our streams up and ready to go. It'd be great if you guys could hit the like button for them and get us situated even before we go live. Yeah. Virgo saying Jason and Freddy need a proper return so people can be reminded why they are icons of horror. I agree. They do need a proper return. Although I will say, I don't think people need to be reminded, to be honest with you. The last couple of conventions I've gone to, I cannot tell you guys how many people were dressed up as Freddy or Jason. It was ridiculous. I mean, other than Michael, that's everyone you saw. You know what I mean? So I think they still have, and that's why they're icons. Because even though Friday the 13th hasn't had a film in 15 years, Jason is still an icon. You know, it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy, man. But good point. Julie said, do you think there was studio interference on Thanksgiving? I love the film, but it definitely feels tapered down and maybe more accessible to general audiences compared to the concept trailer. Well, there's probably some truth to that. There's probably some truth to that. It's definitely not, but you know, but to be honest, the concept trailer, I mean, like, wow, you know, that was definitely like back like you know, the exploitation type of films type of vibe, which is of course what Eli was trying to do with that concept trailer. I think it was a good balance. I think it was a good balance because, again, like you said, it's accessible. And here's the bottom line, guys. You gotta have the box office for these films to survive, these franchises to survive. So they gotta make some money. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. But you're right. You know, it's definitely tapered down to what that concept trailer was. No doubt. No doubt. Jason saying, I would have picked Amy Steele coming back to the franchise either in TV form or her later down the timeline for the movie. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying I wouldn't want that to happen, but based upon the fact that, well, I wasn't even thinking about the TV show because we do have Adrian King that's going to be back. So I don't know how they would bring back both, but I don't know. Maybe they could have. I was just thinking about movies, and because we don't know if a movie is coming yet, that's why I went with Stu. But you know I love Amy Steele, so I knew you were gonna pick that. So good call, man. 34 likes, Sarah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Steven saying we rent out an entire theater and pack it with Watchers and Cravenites. We could have a live Q&A night. What do you think, everyone? Bro, hey. First of all, let me just say this. Number one, Steven and I, we're always throwing together some ideas, man. So who knows? But yeah, that would be amazing. Could you imagine that? Who knows, right? You know, who knows? Maybe these fests that we've been doing is the warm up. I'm just teasing that. You never know. But yeah, that would be awesome, man. That would be so cool. Oh my gosh. What's up, Scott? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well, man. Saying hey to everyone. All right. And we got, Troy's coming in again. Another $5 super chat. Thank you so much, man. Wow. That is awesome. Thank you, man. That's telling you guys. Thank you. It really is awesome. I appreciate that. Saying Rushmore with parameters. It's got to be Freddy, Jason, and Michael, with the fourth being open to interpretation. No one has completely locked down 4, in my opinion. Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. You know, like I said, I go with Ghostface based upon body of work. You know, some people have said Leatherface. I can understand that. Some people have said Jigsaw. I'm open to that as well. But I agree, man. Freddy, Jason, and Michael. It's gotta be a lock. It's just too much. It's just too much. You know, 40 years plus. It's just, come on. It's just too much. Again, you know, there might be people that aren't fans of those franchises, or maybe not as high on those franchises, but you just talk about the facts. Yeah, no doubt. Troy, you're awesome. Let's do another clip. Let's do, this one is a fun one. I know a lot of people love it. Sometimes when you're singing, you think you sound great, you may not sound great, and you could sound like this. Wow.
You take my back. You take my back. Wow.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate you. All right. FD saying hot take. I think Gail's the face of the franchise over Sydney. Really? I don't know. I mean, to me, I put it this way. Other than 5, you know, because I think Gail definitely had as much weight in that film as Sydney, which was ridiculous in a way, but it is what it is. But like, if you think about the original Scream, I mean, Gail didn't even show up until like 40 minutes into the film, you know, so it's definitely a Sydney film. But she's a very important character, and I love her, you know, so that could be an interesting conversation or debate. It really could. She's like the Loomis of Scream. I could see that as well. Yeah. Yep. Troy saying Return versus Shaun was the most difficult battle so far. Personally, it was a tough one. It was. Yeah. Sarah saying, Steven, that would be unbelievable. I'd book my flights now. Yeah. Val saying, right, Sarah? I know. Hey, all I'm saying is this, and Steven, you Steven stirred the pot. Well, you guys know, especially you two, Steven and I talk almost every day in some way, shape, or form. So I'm just saying, you know, there's a lot of great things going on in our community on both of our channels, which we're so lucky and blessed to have, and all of you guys that are a part of it. So you never know. That's all I can say. You never know. That's as far as I'll go. Ben saying, I'd love your idea of a group theater watch, and I'd be there if possible, Night. I would love that. I would love that, man. It would be so cool. And let me just say this, and let me read Nanette's comment first. Well, Night, you know that I will not have a hard time in what I pick on The Omen versus The Shining. You know, if we do The Omen versus The Shining, well, I know what you would pick. I know you would pick. I do, Nanette. But what about The Shining versus The Exorcist? We got that first. Let me know what you think of that. But back to what I was going to say, you know, a couple of folks I've met in the community physically at conventions has been an amazing experience, you know, and it would be so cool to be able to do that on a bigger scale, like at a theater. You know, that would be so much fun, guys. Like I said, and I know Steven feels the same way, you know, you guys dictate a lot of what we do. You know, this community is family. So you never know, Steven. It really would be incredible. It would. That's right. Hey, we got Katie in the chat. What's up, Katie? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. Value would definitely have a front row seat reserved. That's right. That's true. It's so true. Katie saying, still not feeling well. Well, Katie, I hope you feel better soon. Seriously. Hope you feel better soon. But glad to see you here. Yeah. Buff Shaman saying, I don't think we can have a proper Freddy update. I think Robert Englund is Freddy. He is Freddy. He really is. Yeah, he is. But at some point, we know that Nightmare is going to come back. And just like they did with Jackie Earl Haley. So, yeah, it's crazy. Ben's coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much, Ben. Much appreciated, bro. Saying, truth be told, the lack of promotional material for Maxine has resulted in more love for X and Pearl upon subsequent watches. For you, it could be for other people too. I will say this. I know exactly what you mean, because there's been so much, you know, with just anticipation. You know, when are we going to get something? There was talk that there was going to be a trailer coming out around this time. But it's that time is kind of gone. They were talking about around the Super Bowl and stuff like that. So I will say this, and I'll get into this some more, but Ty West, I mean, he's actually thinking about a possible follow-up to that story. So it's like, wow, I just want to see this one, right? But I'm really excited to see what he does, and I think Mia's going to knock it out of the park as usual. So can't wait. I cannot wait. Ben, let's do this for you, man. I appreciate you. And yeah, you definitely talking about Maxine. It makes me sometimes feel like this. There it is, man. I mean, you know, I'm really hyped for it, you know, and it's going to be a who done it, you know. It's like, nice. Love it. Julie saying renting out a theater would be crazy. So awesome. It would, guys. I'm telling you. You never know. You never know. It would be epic. It would be epic, man. And I don't know if anyone, you know, well, definitely in the communities that we share, you know, and the people that I know, which is easily probably 100 different channels. I've never heard of that being done. So that would be fun to do, something different. Yeah, no doubt. Ty saying Stephen King is surely a horror icon. He is. Oh, there's no doubt in my mind. No doubt. Yeah. Buff Shaman saying the main reason Norman Bates makes my Mount Rushmore instead of Michael is the whole timeline confusion. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any issue with the multiple timelines. I just take it for what it is. You know, there's some movies I like more than others for sure, you know, but yeah, I mean, I just think, and I love Norman Bates. For you guys that have been around long enough, you guys know that. There's no doubt that I love Norman Bates. But I just think Michael's reach has extended further. You know what I mean? Now, if we talk about acting wise, if we talk about complexity of the character and stuff like that, of course, Anthony Perkins was phenomenal. Rest in peace. So I just think it matters how you're defining it, you know? Yeah. Yep. Let's see. You guys are too funny. Hey, we got Scott Lauderdale's in the chat too. What's up, man? Good to see you. Saying hey night, hey everybody. All right. Woohoo. Val saying still need to do a fun versus battle like Rocky Horror versus Killer Clowns. Well, Val, I'll tell you what. You never know. You never know. It is possible. It is quite possible. We've got, man, if you guys could see the list that we have, it is it is crazy. And we've been trying to do different things as far as how we're deciding it. Some of it has been by chance. Sometimes we've been just doing rotation. But you never know. It's quite possible. I would be down for that. And I know Coriander, she would love to do that as well. She really would. So, hey, it could happen. It could happen. Let's see. Paul is saying Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is out now. You know what? I'm gonna tell you what. I don't know when I'm gonna get a chance to see it, but I'm open to it. I'm open to it. But I hope you get a chance to see it too, Paula. That's right. Steven saying never say never. There you go. Nanette saying I don't like The Shining, at least not the original, so The Exorcist would win for me. But here's the question, Nanette, and this is what we always ask on our Tuesday night streams. Based upon categories, there might be times when you would give the point to The Shining, right? You know, like if I said, which character was more psychotic, Jack or Damien? You'd have to give it to Jack. Damien wasn't psychotic, right? So you never know. That's the point of these battles. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Ginger Ninja. Yay, Candy Cane. I know, it's so funny, man. The first time I saw that, I was just like, oh my God. Oh, that's so cool. He's like, give me plenty of notice and I'll fly my ass over there for it. That would be so much. Could you imagine that, man? Like, that would be so cool, man. Seriously. Just to get a chance to hang out with all of you guys, man. All I can say is this. Well, I don't want to be giving anything away, but all I can say is this: it would be fun. It would be so much fun. It really would. Nanette, you have a channel member anniversary, 9 months. That is awesome. That is absolutely so cool. 3 away from a year. That is awesome. Saying, would you ever do a Stephen King versus Clive Barker? You know, we've talked about that as a possibility. That actually is on our list. So yeah, absolutely. There's that opportunity. We've talked about that. I don't want to give away all of the list because I think that's part of the fun, is to hopefully surprise you guys and maybe entice you guys to hang out with us. But we've talked about not only things like that, like a Stephen King versus a Clive Barker, but also certain aspects of movies versus, and I don't want to say any more than that. And there's also been talk of, you know, we do verses with 2 movies, but no one ever said we only have to do 2. So that's all I have to say about that. But yeah, we've got some cool stuff that we're looking to do with it as well in the upcoming weeks. So yeah, stay tuned. Tuesday nights, man. Tuesday nights. And Ben, I know Ben is holding that torch for Dead and Buried versus Messiah of Evil. I know, man. I know. And Dead and Buried, and like I said before, Messiah of Evil, I can't remember Messiah of Evil. Pretty sure I've seen it. It might have been a long time ago. Dead and Buried, you guys know, or if you don't know, now you know. I absolutely love it. We did an episode on Dead and Buried for Slasher Movie Club way back. So definitely, if you haven't seen that, Ben, check it out. That was a fun stream, a fun conversation. But maybe. Let's see. And T. Parker was saying, it just occurred to me, we kind of already did get a modern take on American Psycho. It's called Spree. Now, Spree is actually on my watch list. I haven't seen it. What'd you think of it? Let me know. Was it good? You know, don't spoil it, but was it good? It's on my watch list. I haven't seen it yet. And thank you, Val. If you would like to become a channel member, all you have to do is hit the join button next to the subscribe button, or you can click the link that the general has put in the chat. You know, we do a lot of cool stuff, guys. In my opinion, we have been fortunate enough to do almost weekly, if not bi-weekly, watch parties where, you know, for Coriander and myself, and when we have panel guests, which is quite often, you know, we just get a chance to hang out with you guys and watch a movie. And it's so much fun to do that. We just did Malignant, which was so much fun yesterday. We've got our stream up for this Sunday coming up, Final Destination 5, which that's going to be a blast. So we love doing things like the watch parties and the streams, the get-togethers and stuff like that. So definitely, if you'd like to do it, that is how you do it. And of course, it's appreciated. You know, it's truly appreciated. It helps to keep the lights on. Scott saying, how about a King versus Carpenter battle world? We've talked about that as well. We've talked about a Carpenter versus Craven. Probably anything that you guys could think of, we've talked about it. And we have a list. I think I said this on a couple of live streams ago. We have a list that could literally take us to the end of this year. And you guys know we do Battle World every week. So you guys do the math. But yeah, that could be a lot of fun. You know, a lot of it, what we try to figure out is, first of all, what's readily available for all 4 of us to watch, because we have to watch 2 movies, guys. You know, there's a lot of prep that we try to put into this every week, and you know, we really enjoy the conversation. So that's part of it as well. But as far as doing directors or obviously icons, you know, outside of just the movies themselves, that's really been something we've talked a lot about. So you never know. You never know. Troy coming in again. All right. Thank you so much. $5 super chat. Like the icon Rushmore, creator-wise, I think we have a 3 solidified. Carpenter, King, Craven. 4 is open as well. Clive Barker, Argento, Bava, Flanagan. Yeah, I think for me, when you talk about creator-wise, as a fan, okay, for me, you definitely got to think John Carpenter and Wes Craven. You know, you guys know it. Obviously, you've been on this channel. You know, we've talked so much stuff from Carpenter and Craven, and from Stephen King too. Now, if we're talking just directors, is an interesting story. If we're talking just creators, because obviously Stephen King, he did direct Maximum Overdrive, but you guys know the story on that. But who would be the fourth in your equation? Out of those four you listed, I'd have to go with Argento. And we've talked a lot of Argento on this channel on Slasher Movie Club. Hopefully you guys have seen a lot of the work we've done on Dario Argento. I think he's an icon in his own right. Flanagan, we love Flanagan. Coriander and I absolutely love Mike Flanagan. And to be quite honest, I wouldn't argue against him. He's just done some fantastic work. I love his series on Netflix. All of his series, we love them. We've watched them all more than once. So I definitely could deal with someone saying Mike Flanagan. I do think, if he continues on this trajectory, in maybe a decade from now, he's pretty solidified. If you can do such great things in movies and streaming or on the TV side of things and still be that good, that successful, wow, just amazing stuff, But I love Mike Flanagan, I truly do. So, Troy, thank you so much, man. Definitely just being so kind and generous tonight. We really appreciate it. Let's do another super chat clip for you. Let's do an oldie but goodie, something that we haven't done in a while. And yeah, let's do a fun one. Here we go.
When you find yourself at 1 a.m. in the morning with your hand in the air and a horse's ass in front of your face, that's when you know it's bad.
That's when you know it's bad, man. Oh my God. Thank you so much, man. Seriously. I appreciate you and everyone else just being so awesome and supportive tonight. Seriously. T. Parker saying, I love Spree. It's a 4 out of 5 movie for me. All right. Well, I'll definitely move that up my list. That's cool. Good point, Ginger Ninja. What about George Romero? Come on, guys. Don't forget who brought us to the dance. No doubt. I've done a lot of polls on my community tab, and it's interesting, because when I talk about the OGs, and I talk about a lot of OG stuff on this channel, you guys know that. It's interesting because there's a section of folks that are on board. They're like, yeah, man, yeah. And then there's, some folks, and some of it could be because of age, but they're like, I wasn't around when that came out, and, I've heard it was good or this or that. But George Romero, he literally is the godfather of zombies. Got to give him his respect. I love his filmography. He's done so many great films, even outside of the Dead theories. So I agree with you, Ginger Ninja. You got to think about Romero, no doubt. Yep. And Troy saying he's there as well. Yeah, good. I'm glad. I'm absolutely glad about that. Look at Steven. He's like, Craven versus Carpenter. Let's go. Man, I'm gonna be honest with you, Steven. And Steven knows this as well as anyone. I'd be worried to do it in a way, because I love them both so much, and I think both of them have things that they're just so amazing at, that the other, they're both great at everything, but there's some things that one, does, and then the other does another thing, and it's like, boom, back and forth, like this amazing tennis match or something. I don't know who would win it. I don't know. They're the best of the best. They really are. And just thinking about that as an episode, maybe we got to do it because it's so it's so intriguing. Oh man, you never know. Scott saying Troy, I'd also consider Hitchcock and Romero. Yeah, Hitchcock, of course. Yeah. Virgo saying I'd love to see Jordan Peele create his own original slasher. Me too. Like I was saying earlier, talking to my good friend Killjoy Jake, and we were talking about just a lot of the newer horror minds. We talked about Jordan Peele a little bit and offline. And yeah, I'd love to have him do that. He's just got a really creative mind. He's a student of the game. He makes some interesting choices. They don't always pan out, but I like that he tries to do some different things, and his movies are original. So yeah, I'd love to see that. Valzan Craven, that would be an iconic versus battle. It would. Yeah, it would. Oh man. Let's see. We need more horror series and mini series to buff and saying, yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, that would be cool. And I do agree. We do need more of it. Ginger Ninja saying, I still haven't seen The Fall of the House of Usher from Flanagan yet. Bro, you have got to see it. I'm telling you, and there might be a time anyways when we're going to do more of that type of stuff. The audience for it it's just one of those things. But Coriander and we both loved it. Kill loved it as well. Mike Flanagan is just amazing. That's all I can say, man. He really is. That was a great show. Some great acting. Oh my gosh, man. Check it out, bro. I recommend this weekend, start it up. We couldn't stop. I think we knocked it out in a weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure we knocked it out in a weekend. Do it, bro. Do it. Please let me know what you think. I loved it. I really did. And I wish we could talk more about that type of stuff. But who knows? Maybe at some point we will. But it was really good. Troy saying it was second only to Midnight Mass, but Mass is fantastic and hard to top. Yeah, Midnight Mass, man, what a journey that was. And when you first watch it, and I don't want to do any spoilers, but I had no idea where it was going. I really had no friggin' clue where we were going with that. And when we found out what it was, I was like, holy shit. Are you serious? What an interesting take on a well-worn subgenre. Let's just put it that way. Hey, look, Cody's in the house. What's up, man? Saying every time I crawl into the hot tub, Night Watch is live. We got to stop meeting like this. Oh my God. What's up, bro? Good to see you, man. Hey, and Cody, let me just say this too, man. I was watching your vid on the whole idea of criticism and so forth. I'm still, I think I'm like 2/3 to it, man. Well said, man. Well said. I couldn't agree with you more. And I could go on and on about that. But anyways, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. We got to get you back on here, man, one of these days. Seriously, because I had a couple of ideas of some things I wanted to pick your brain about, because I know that you'd have some fun talking about it. But yeah, thanks for being here, though. Seriously. And he's saying Craven created 2 icons of horror. Carpenter has a better slate of films, in my opinion. Now, see, that's kind of how I look at it as well. I think, Wes, and we've talked about this so much because Wes has had some really, really amazing films and 2 icons, 2 franchises that have, it's sad to say, that have outlived him, right? And that's great. But he had a lot of studio interference, you know what I mean? And so some of those films, they were like, only he did all he could to make them what they were, like Cursed. I know a lot of you guys are fans of Cursed. My good buddy Steven, we've talked about Cursed. That just had its anniversary. Cody, I know you're a fan of Cursed. Think about how Wes Craven was able to make that what it was with all the crap going on. So that just shows how amazing Wes Craven was. But then if you look at John Carpenter, the spectrum of the movies that he did, this is a guy that friggin' did Halloween, but he also did Starman, right? Or Big Trouble in Little China and The Fog. You know what I mean? So his spectrum was so wide. It would be a fantastic conversation. I think personally, you guys are getting me to think a lot here. I actually came up with a really interesting idea, but I love them both. That's the bottom line. I love them both. And I think all of us as horror fans, we're better horror fans because of what John Carpenter and Wes Craven did for the genre. I truly believe that. And to me, you know, we were talking about Mount Rushmores earlier and what is solid and concrete and so forth. In my opinion, in my heart, Wes Craven and Carpenter, their effect on the genre, it can't even be debated. It just can't. But yeah, Cody, that's a great point, man. Craven, you know, definitely icons, and John, definitely an amazing slate of films, no doubt about it. Yeah, Troy agreeing as well. Yeah, man. Wayne, what's up? What is up? It's 1:38 p.m. Tuesday here in Sydney, Australia. All right. Well, hey, glad to have you stop by. Seriously. Hope you're doing well, man. Good to have you. Troy saying, but Freddy versus the Thing is like choosing a favorite child. It's true. It's so true, man. It's hard. It's hard to choose that. It's hard. Ben saying, when I get Netflix again, I'll be watching The Fall of the House of Usher. Do it, man. Do it. I'll tell you what, man. Getting Netflix just to watch it, it's worth it for me. You know, get a month subscription, whatever. Check it out. Like I said, I think I knocked it out in a weekend. I think it's worth it. I truly do. You know, it's like buying something on physical, you know. But there's other good stuff on Netflix as well. Yeah. Troy saying, breaking news, you might be interested in Night. Ole Anderson. What? He passed away. I didn't even know that. Oh, man, that sucks. Yeah, man, the Four Horsemen. I grew up on the Four Horsemen. Man, I'm going to have to double check on that stuff. Thank you for letting me know. I didn't even know that. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, man, I grew up on the Four Horsemen. Oh, man. It's my favorite wrestling faction. There's no doubt about that. Thanks for letting me know that, man. Seriously. Yes. Ben saying, Midnight Mass is stupendous. That and Dr. Sleep are supreme. Yeah, Midnight Mass, guys. Seriously. Midnight Mass. If you haven't seen it, I know a lot of you guys haven't. Don't lie. I know a lot of you guys haven't. Mike Flanagan. Please, just check that stuff out. There's a lot of... In other words, the point I'm trying to get to, without ranting all night, there's a lot of great horror out there, and there's a lot of great horror on TV, is what I'm saying, you know? Yeah. Cody saying, I appreciate it. Highly debated. Not releasing that video. Really? I even recorded it twice. Glad you're enjoying it. Seriously? Oh my gosh. See, that... Well, first of all, let me just say, like I said, man, I just appreciate your honesty, and you just put it out there. You know what I mean? And I think that is why so many people appreciate your content. But I know hearing you say you debated it, you know, and even recorded it twice, it just gives insight to how important this is to you as far as what you do for content. And I really appreciate that. As a content creator, it makes me feel like, okay, yeah, it's okay to doubt yourself. You know, it happens, and it even happens to the best of us. So that's awesome, man. But I'm glad you put it out there. And like I said, yeah, I'm enjoying it, bro. Seriously. Saying I'll come back anytime, just say the word. Oh, thanks so much, man. Seriously. I will definitely, because I've got a cool idea. I will definitely be getting in touch with you, man. Seriously. No doubt. No doubt at all. But you can't be in the hot tub when you're live, bro. You can't. Actually, no, you can. That probably... People are probably like, what the hell is going on? Oh, my God. Cody saying, fun fact, the Wikipedia page for Cursed quotes me as saying it's the most fan-demanded director's cut. Really? Get out of here. That is awesome. Yeah, man, they should release the Craven cut. Damn it. I'd want to see that. I know my good buddy Steven would love to see that as well. Shit. It's still a fun movie, though. It really is. I have fun with it, you know? I really, really do. We just did a watch party on Steven's channel not that long ago. It was fun. Julie said, Midnight Mass was flawlessly executed. Love what they did with the V genre. Yes. Yes. It was so good. It was so good. Ben said, I'm revisiting The Fog right now. That's what I'm talking about, man. The Fog doesn't get enough love. I love The Fog. Oh my gosh. Troy's a fan of Midnight Mass, saying that it is a modern day classic. That's awesome to hear, man. I love hearing that, seriously, because I think it's fantastic. Yeah. Wayne saying, has Chris Stuckman gone soft with movie reviewing because he has his own movie coming out this year? I think yes. Thoughts? Well, you know, I will say this, and I haven't given my opinion on it yet. I'm not gonna do that tonight, or at least I'm not gonna give a long opinion about it. Who knows? Maybe I will. I think it's an interesting conversation. I think that he is more aware of the process of making movies, and that might change the way he talks about movies, which I feel that that's too bad, because, like, for instance, I'm a martial artist. I teach martial arts, right? If I have a friend that's teaching a different martial art that I don't know, and I don't agree with some of its things, I gotta say, I don't think that would work that well for me. Maybe it works well for you. You know, that's just like watching a movie. Some movies just don't work. They just don't. There could be 100 people that say Scream is a great film, and then there'd be that 101st person that says, it didn't really work that well for me. And that's okay. That's okay. So that's my short answer to that. That's my short answer. And Val, thank you so much hanging in there and reminding people to hit the like button. I appreciate that. You guys, seriously, you guys are awesome. No doubt about that. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I just like getting on here and just hanging out with you guys and just talking a little bit. It gives me the opportunity to vent. So it really does. So I appreciate it. Seriously. Troy, horror after hours live from the hot tub. Twitch may not approve. That would be kind of, look, let me just say this. I'm not in that particular position to do that. There's been times when I've, had a hot tub or whatever. But that would be freaking funny. Oh my God. You'd have two people in the hot tub with the camera on. Hey, we're going to talk about horror. I don't think that's ever been done. Just throw that out there. Whoever does it, good luck. Oh my gosh. Well, guys, look, this has been a lot of fun. We have gone all over the place in this conversation, which I think has been so much fun. Again, Terrifier 3, will it give art that horror status? A lot of you think it will. Some of you are fans, some of you guys are not. It's okay. It's okay. But I do find it interesting that we are witnessing a possible birth of a future icon, or the possible birth of a future successful franchise in horror. And I think ultimately, if there are fans of it, which, and I did enjoy those two movies. There were a lot of missed opportunities, but I did enjoy them for what they were. But I think it's exciting to see some new things going on, some new ideas, new icons, new franchises. So yeah. Troy saying, Knight, what art do you teach? I made it to black belt in Taekwondo, then went to boxing, and now starting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's awesome, man. I teach Kung Fu and Tai Chi. So, but I did Taekwondo when I was a kid. I did karate when I was a kid. I did boxing when I was in college. Awesome stuff. I just love it. It's a great way to release, and it's a great way to connect, not only to yourself, but to others and so forth. And I don't mean as in fighting, but, teaching it to someone is, it's a very special thing. So yeah, I really do enjoy it. Val, thank you for reminding people. Leave a comment. This has been great, you guys. I know I didn't get to everyone. I tried to get to as many people as I could, but you guys know how this goes. But if you do have a comment that you'd like to, throw in the section so we can have more of a discussion, definitely do it. Because this has been great. We've talked about so many different things, And I really enjoy these types of live streams where we can rabbit trail, and you guys have so many interesting things and topics that you bring to the table. So thank you, Wayne. Take it easy. Hope work goes okay. Ben, thank you. Quality entertainment. Well, I try, and I'm just glad that you guys enjoy it. And for all of you guys that are here and that keep coming back, you guys are the ones that make this happen. So that's what it's all about. Val, thank you again so much. Seriously, I truly appreciate you being here tonight and helping out. And yeah, tomorrow night should be fun. I don't know which way it's going to go, guys. I really don't. I know Coriander and Kill and Eric were all kind of like, I don't know, which is great. So tomorrow night, The Exorcist versus The Shining. Who knows? Scott saying, Battle World idea, Night of the Comet versus Chopping Mall. Ooh. You know I love those. Especially, well, look, I love them both. But you know I have a special place in my heart for Night of the Comet because we had the joy of having Kelly and Catherine on and even did the watch party. That was amazing, guys. Oh my God. Catherine, Mary, oh my God. My heart starts to beat a little faster just thinking about it. So that would be a cool one, though. Scott, leave that in the comment section. I don't know if we have that on the list or not. I know we do have Night of the Comet and a couple of ideas, but I don't know if we have it against Chopping Mall. Leave that in the comment section. I do kind of like that. That's cool. Yes, Troy, definitely respect to all. Julie says we made it to 40. Thank you guys so much. That's awesome. That's very, very cool. I appreciate that. Ben, you're all right. You're all right, man. I appreciate you, like, seriously, always being here, supporting the community, supporting the conversations, even on the Facebook page. Just always just awesome stuff, man. Just keeping the conversation going, keeping it fun, keeping it light, keeping it positive and knowledgeable. That's awesome. Seriously. Ginger Ninja. I love you, man. Saying, all right, I added The Fall of the House of Usher to my Netflix list. There you go. I really want to know what you think of it. Yeah. And look, probably one of the only people I can think of that is as big of a fan as I am of Night of the Comet, Ginger Ninja say is it trumps Chopping Mall, but Chopping Mall is still awesome. We're in the same zone, bro. We're in the same zone. Yes. All right, guys. Well, look, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being here, all of you. Seriously, you guys make the difference. Hopefully, I will see you guys tomorrow night on Battle World with the crew here on the panel. So I will catch you guys later. You know how it goes. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace. Later.